Hi. Greetings to everybody watching us on social media. Hello to those of you listening to us on the radio. I'm Kenny Webster. It's KPRC 950. It's Kenny Webster's Pursuit of Happiness, a spinoff of the Walton and Johnson Show. Sort of the, like the Ropers to the Walton and Johnson Show's Three's Company, if you will. If you are listening to us on the radio and you'd like to join a conversation on social media, you can. I have a guest in my studio right now. He is one of the senior editors of TexasScorecard.com, a journalist, a conservative activist, an author, a social media personality. Brandon Waltens of TexasScorecard.com. Brandon, I ask you this.
Yeah.
What does a slutty nurse go as for Halloween? What do they go as?
I don't know. I guess just a college student.
Is that what? I don't know. It's confusing to me. Have you picked out?
Good question.
Have you picked out your costume yet, Brandon?
No. I haven't. Although I feel like a lot of people probably are going to be dressed as the Trump in the McDonald's apron. I feel like that's going to be a popular one in these next couple weeks.
It's a really good one. Another one. I understand a lot of people are going as the Menendez brothers for Halloween. I think that's in poor taste. Mm-hmm. Do you think they're innocent?
I don't know.
I think they.
I don't know.
I think they clearly committed murder. The question is this: Where did that happen at? Were they in New Jersey or Florida or California? It shows how little I know.
Yeah, one of those not Texas places.
Someplace with Guidos, and not Texas exactly. The thing that gets me about the Menendez brothers is, they murdered their parents. There's no doubt about that. The question is, should you be allowed to murder if you were a victim of some sort of a nefarious sexual assault? That's what they're suggesting with this case. And then if in fact you were a victim of something, how long should the punishment? Like, you still can't murder, but the argument they're trying to make is 30 years seems a little strict to murder the person that molested you as a kid. Brandon Waltens, tell us everything you know.
Wow, I don't know. You're getting a little out of my wheelhouse here. 30 years, I don't know, man.
Okay, well, all right. Well, equally as controversial, Robert Robertson, I believe is his name. We just had a case here in the state of Texas, for those who do not know. This guy is on trial. Oh, he's not on trial. He's on death row. They want to send him away. They want to execute the guy. He was supposed to get executed for shaking a baby, and the kid's dead. There's no doubt about that. The question is, was it junk science that they used to prove that he was guilty? And even if the data that they used to prove he was guilty was flawed, it's still pretty obvious the guy's guilty. Nobody questions that. So in an effort to stop him from getting executed, why don't you explain it to us? Democrats in the state of Texas did something very unusual, something they've never done before.
Yeah, and by the way, not just shaking a baby. I mean, the nurse who originally called the police when he brought his 2-year-old child to the hospital, I mean, the injuries on her body, on her head, her organs, etc., were absolutely, I mean, it's hard to read when you go look through those cases. It's no wonder why a jury found him guilty, convicted him to death. This was, by the way, over 20 years ago, right?
Yeah,
just
not
to tell
recently,
you how long this stuff lasts. Well, he was scheduled to be executed on Thursday. I mean, every appeals court, Board of Pardon Paroles unanimously, governor said, no, you're guilty. We're going to carry out this sentence. You've got the Criminal Jurisprudence Committee in the Texas House. Now, this is a committee that's led by a Democrat, Joe Moody from El Paso, who is certainly an anti-death penalty, BLM, etc., liberal Democrat,
guy,
right?
Yeah.
They essentially, along with some of the Republicans on the committee, like Jeff Leach from up in Allen, put together this last-minute effort on Thursday night to say, okay, well, we're gonna subpoena Robert Roberson, essentially saying he needs to come speak to our committee, and so you can't carry out the execution because we need to be able to talk to him in a few days. That was kind of played out in the courts a little bit on Thursday. The Texas Supreme Court issued the stay for now. Now, they held a committee hearing yesterday where they had invited him to testify. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice, the Attorney General, saying, absolutely not. We're not going to bring a death row inmate to the Texas Capitol. It's a massive security risk.
Yeah.
And they're saying we could come in, we can video chat. Well,
and who would even believe this guy's testimony anyway? I mean,
he has nothing to lose, Kenny. Like, there's no reason for him not to lie.
If
he was
lies,
he was supposed to be put to death last week, right?
Right.
So he's on borrowed time as it is. And so they say, well, you can do some video testimony, right?
Well,
and
what good is that going to do? It's not like he's going to tell the truth.
Well, exactly right. But even then, they said, well, he can't do video testimony because they say he's autistic. They wouldn't be able to do it, which is a first argument that I've ever heard.
Me too. I'm too autistic to pay my taxes. I can't. I'm so autistic. I'm confused by the IRS. I shouldn't be required to do that, Brandon.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's frustrating because, even if you step back away from this case, people obviously, I think there are, arguments certainly on both sides for the death penalty, against the death penalty. Putting that aside, you've got now this constitutional crisis, essentially, the separation of powers. It's funny. The legislature always, we get mad, right? We talk about activist judges who try to make law from the bench. And here you have essentially activist legislators that are trying to retry this trial from the Texas Capitol,
right?
Which is a complete meltdown. Even Governor Greg Abbott has weighed in and said the committee's overstepping their bounds, that he's the only one with the power ultimately to issue stays of executions, and he didn't in this case.
And by the way, do I need to point out the obvious? Who gave these Democrats the authority to do this?
Yeah, well, that would be the current House Speaker, Dade Phelan, right?
What? Dade Phelan again?
Surprise.
Amazingly.
Dade Phelan strikes again, yeah.
And by the way, this news story, whatever people's thoughts are on the death penalty or whatever you think of this guy, this is one more example of how broken our media is. I'm going to put something up on the screen here. I want everybody to look at this. Here's a headline about this story. Texas junk science law getting another look over Robert Roberson's case. Junk science, according to who? Well, according to this guy that wrote the article here, Nadia Lathan. Okay, fine. That's her opinion. But this is the AP. They're not supposed to be putting their opinions in a headline, yet that's exactly what they do. Have you seen this yet? This has been getting a lot of attention today on social media. This is how CBS News started their evening broadcast yesterday. Hang on one second. Got to stop the music here if I'm going to play this. There's music coming from somewhere on my computer, and I don't know where it's coming from. There it is. Okay, stop that. I'm going to play some audio for you and video for those of you watching us on social media. This is how CBS News started their evening broadcast yesterday. Count the number of times they compliment Kamala and insult Trump. Go.
Election day is just over 2 weeks away, and the fight for every single last undecided vote in battleground states is intensifying. Vice President Kamala Harris is targeting disaffected Republican voters by hitting the trail with Liz Cheney in the crucial blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Cheney was a powerful Republican congresswoman, and today she called Harris a responsible adult. As for former President Donald Trump, he was back in North Carolina again, pushing false claims about FEMA and immigrants. That's after he spent the weekend slinging a crude insult at Harris, engaging in lewd locker room talk about the late golfing legend Arnold Palmer, and staging a campaign stunt at a Pennsylvania McDonald's.
Okay, let's pause it right there. let's just pause that right there. Now, I counted. They love Liz Cheney, powerful Republican. She's couldn't even get reelected, lost by 30 points in her own state.
Very powerful. And by the way, having her on stage, that wasn't a campaign stunt, though. That was a serious conversation where she had Kamala Harris on, right?
Isn't that amazing?
When Trump is campaigning, that's a stunt.
In the last segment before you got here, I played some audio earlier of Maria Shriver, who moderated the town hall, telling people in the audience, we will not be taking any questions from you. I'm sorry. You're just here for looking at. You're not. You guys are props.
Predetermined, I think, right, is what she said.
What is not staged in the Kamala Harris camp?
It's all so fake. I mean, I think that's why you've seen President Trump say that repeatedly, and his campaign's been driving that home, but it doesn't take him saying that. I mean, I think people see her campaign, whether it's, when she goes out and, holds a rally where she speaks for 5 minutes and then has, Lizzo come out and essentially run the whole thing. Or if it's, when she didn't come to the, the Catholic charity roast dinner thing from, last week where they normally go and they make jokes. She didn't go to that. She's like a side character in her own campaign in a weird way. I mean, she's not even the main character there. And
that's a great point because Brandon, she's not running for president. She's running for not Trump. That's what it is. She's not the candidate. Things are so bad in America right now with our media that conservatives are actually praising guys like Bill Maher and Jon Stewart, not because they agree with them, just because they're actually consistent in their principles. Let me throw something up on the screen here. Yesterday, Tim Walz is being interviewed by Jon Stewart, and Jon Stewart said a thing every conservative, liberal, every libertarian, everybody with half a brain cell that can remember what America was like about 10 years ago seemed to think when Kamala started going out and campaigning with the Cheneys.
The Cheney thing, do we really have to do that?
Look, it goes broader than that. Look, Bernie Sanders, Dick Cheney, Taylor Swift.
No.
That one.
No.
The shooting?
No.
Having the Cheneys on board?
Nah, you can't Dick Cheney or Taylor Swift. No.
We're a big tent.
What country did Taylor Swift get us to invade? No.
Yeah. No, don't you think though that, and I do this, I believe this.
All right, stop him right there, because you don't need to hear it. Is this funny or what? It was Darth Hitler, right?
Well,
and Liz,
they hated him, right? And when Jon Stewart, I mean, it's almost like bringing someone out of a time machine or something, because that was the Democrat position in 2004, 2008, 2012. They hated Dick Cheney, right? And now, now he's, I guess, a Democratic hero, and certainly his daughter, right, Liz Cheney, they fawn over. By the way, looking at some of the video, I don't know if you saw some of the video of Liz Cheney and Kamala Harris. What a bundle of joy she looked like, right? I mean, she just absolutely had the most sullen, sulky look, seemingly the whole time. This is the campaign of joy, is what they say.
That's exactly it. Joy and vibes, and yet they're disgusted at the thought of Donald Trump dancing on stage while healthcare workers help somebody having a medical emergency in the audience at a Trump rally. I can't help but notice Trump spent the weekend at a football game. He went to a barbershop. He went to McDonald's. Kamala, who's trying to prove that she's not too much of an elitist for the supporters of her populist opponent, spent the weekend with celebrities, with Lizzo. Does this kind of remind you of 2016 when Hillary spent more time with the cast of Hamilton than the entire state of Wisconsin?
It feels that way, right? It certainly feels a lot like 2016. I think those comparisons are apt. I think Hillary Clinton was running a better campaign then, though, than Kamala Harris is running now.
Yeah, I
think she was a better candidate, and I don't think she was a very good candidate. So that tells you what I think the state of the race is at this moment.
By the way, this video is mislabeled. If you're watching us on social media, that guy I should have labeled the video before. Christian Collins is a great guy. He was here the other day, so this video is labeled wrong. But if you're watching us on social media, Brandon Waltens is my guest right now for this half hour of the show. Follow him on social media. Quick break. We'll be right back.
It's never too early to learn that the government is a greedy piglet that suckles on a taxpayer's teat until they have sore, chapped nipples.
The Pursuit of Happiness Radio on AM 950 KPRC.
All right, if you're watching us on social media, you don't have to change. We're not going anywhere. We're recording segments that are going to be heard later this afternoon. You're watching a live recording session of us recording stuff. That's how recording works. That is going to air later this afternoon on KPRC 950. So we'll start in just a few seconds here. When I say we'll be right back, I'm actually lying, because we're not going anywhere at all, even a little bit. Stand by. We'll start again right now. All right. 1% of Americans say they will fry their turkey this Thanksgiving. And then I got to imagine the kind of person that does that probably doesn't shut up about it till Memorial Day, Brandon.
It's like the green egg clan as well, right?
Have you ever had deep fried? Have you had the...
I have, actually, yeah. I think it can be good. It's very dangerous. I feel like every season you see where like people burn their whole house down because they put too much oil in or something. And
what is it they're doing wrong?
I think it's putting too much oil in.
Is that it?
Or the turkey's too cold or some combination of the both. Have you seen the videos? Right?
I was just going to ask you.
And it's just like it's inferno in seconds. So yeah, I think the oven works well as well.
Yeah. It really does. Yeah, I never had an issue with the oven myself.
Yeah, I actually like turkey. I think a lot of people A lot of people say, like, turkey's not really that good. I'm pro-turkey. I'm a turkey fan.
I'm into turkey as well. Jesse Kelly, our afternoon host on KPRC, a good friend of the show, he's been on many times, says people only eat turkey on Thanksgiving. And to that, I always say, haven't you ever been to a Texas barbecue place? They almost
you
always
turkey there. You eat turkey sandwich. I mean, you have it all year long.
Absolutely. It's liverwurst that we hate. Nobody wants a liverwurst. All right, so Donald Trump today hanging out with Latino voters, apparently. And according to CNN, this is a group of people that Kamala is underperforming with. What a shocking revelation that is.
Kind of the jitters that are on the Democratic side is because that there's this feeling, and these polls are showing that Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, is underperforming with Latino voters. And I think, kind of what we've already talked about is Latino voters are not monolithic, right? And there are plenty of Latino voters who are concerned about the border, may want a stronger border, may look at, the rhetoric that Trump has.
I'm going to pause it right here. Hold on a second here. They're not monolithic, she's saying. And that, I get that people at CNN get paid to use big words we don't normally use in conversation, but we all know what she said. Knowing what she said, I have to ask the question, Brandon, what group of voters is monolithic?
Yeah, there's no monolithic group of voters. I mean, you could say that about anything. That's kind of some cheap commentary there. It is funny, though, to see, whether it's these numbers she's talking about, but actually I've seen a few clips out of CNN, especially where it almost seems like just now in the last couple of weeks, they're starting to realize the reality of the situation. I feel like early on in the Kamala race a few months ago, they were kind of pumping out these fake polls and, that way oversampled Democrats. And now they're realizing that, Trump is, ahead in a lot of groups, that Kamala's losing ground in just about every group. I can't think of I can't think of a demographic group that Kamala Harris is ahead of Biden, where Biden was, right? So she's lost ground in all these different groups. Trump is gaining ground, and it really is starting to show because they're putting the sirens up on CNN and MSNBC, the rest of those networks. They're saying this looks like it could be trouble.
Yeah, and she has everything going for her. She's got Hollywood, she's got academia, she's got the college professors lecturing the students, she's got obviously everybody on the media. Even half of Fox News seems to kind of low key want Kamala to win. But I think what CNN misses out on when they tell you how surprised they are that Hispanic voters like Trump, it's more of that low-key liberal racism.
Oh, of course.
Because that's their way of saying, well, the only people crossing over the border are Hispanics. And I'm a regular reader of this website, Brandon Waltens, TexasScorecard.com.
I've heard of it.
Illegal aliens from Africa and the Middle East encountered at the Texas border. And you know where else they're coming from? China. Guess where else they're coming from? Eastern Europe and South Asia. And oh, by the way, Trump's wife's from Eastern Europe. And J.D. Vance's wife's from South Asia. Yep. So this really has nothing to do with race and everything to do with following the law, right?
Oh, exactly. And as if to suggest that Hispanic voters, they only care about, like, Hispanic voters, assuming that they want open borders. Most of them do not. And then secondly, assuming that they don't care about any other issue, like the economy.
Yeah,
like any of the other major issues that have been out in play in this campaign. But you're right? It's that Democrat racism of just expecting that. Oh, we've got our certain groups on lock here. Why is she losing ground here? They should be voting. She said they're not a monolith, and yet you could tell she wants them to vote that way.
She wants them to be a monolith.
Yeah, she wants it that way. She's lamenting that it's not.
One of the problems with nothing is ever as great or as awful as anyone in politics will tell you it is. Whatever it is they're talking about, nothing is ever as awesome or as terrible as either sides would tell you. But the left certainly loves some identity politics.
Oh, yeah.
Because it works. But there are limitations to it, because if you dive too deep into identity politics, it becomes insulting to the people in the identity group.
Yeah.
If you're a Hispanic person, imagine showing up at a Joe Biden rally and having them hand you a taco and a sombrero and saying, Hola, mi amigo. Welcome to the Democrat. Here, we've got what you want. Free tortillas. That's what you want, right?
And Jill Biden got in trouble for that a couple of years ago, if I recall.
Yeah, si se padre.
Si se padre.
She said, and then she went to San Antonio and she said, the people here are as diverse as the breakfast tacos we enjoy in San Antonio.
Yeah, and even they were like, no, that's not cool.
No, they really didn't seem to like that.
They didn't like that at all. And it's not unlike, I mean, right, you had, of course, former President Barack Obama and his, what I thought was pretty insulting pep talk or whatever you want to call it to black men specifically. This was from, a week or two ago.
Right.
Where he was saying, well, essentially saying, I think a lot of y'all have a problem electing a woman, as if that was the only issue, right, at play here, right? That it's just voters have a problem electing a woman president. No, there are a lot of issues with the Kamala Harris campaign. Not everything is about identity the way the left sees it.
They would love that. And you know who else didn't want to elect a woman? The Democrats. She didn't get any primary votes.
She got like 1% or whatever. Yeah, it was like nothing. They didn't want her.
She got 0 delegates, Brandon.
Yeah.
0 delegates. And that's not the Republicans' fault. That's the Democrats' fault. All right. I remember several years ago when Trump was president, speaking of immigration and violence and stuff, there was this guy, Jamal Khashoggi. And he was a Washington Post journalist that was basically kidnapped and murdered by the Saudi Arabian government. Or so we've been led to believe. I don't know if anyone ever saw it happen, but I think we know. Occam's razor, right? That's probably what happened.
Sure.
Time magazine ran a story. Person of the year. Dead journalists. Dead journalist is going to be the person of the year. Whoa, person of the year. That's pretty serious. So you flip to the magazine thinking, hey, they're finally going to talk about what's going on down at our border because journalists get murdered in Mexico all the time. Here's a story today from a mutual friend of both of ours, I think Brandon Darby and Alfonso Ortiz. A group of gunmen fired at least a dozen shots at the offices of one of the main newspapers in the Mexican state of Sinaloa. The attack comes as Sinaloa is ground zero for a turf war with cartels. Now, this sort of thing happens there a lot. A little bit of time passes. We now find out they have kidnapped an employee of the newspaper one day after the shooting. Probably I'm sure just a coincidence. That's weird. Nothing about this in the Washington Post. I thought they loved talking about dead journalists.
No, these stories happen all the time. I mean, it really is scary. We talk about it's funny because this will be happening, just not too far away from us, right? In Mexico.
Right.
And yet the journalists here love to complain. They'll complain that, there's a hostile environment for the press whenever, Trump essentially is mean to them at a press conference or tweets something about the fake news. They say, oh my gosh, journalism's under attack. We're under attack. They're literally under attack in Mexico and these other countries.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Journalists in America want you to believe that because Trump was rude to Chris Cuomo at a press conference once, that, it's not safe to be a journalist in America. Nothing has happened to any of these people.
No.
Meanwhile, right over here, you understand in Mexico, the corruption of the cartels goes all the way up to the tippy top, as AOC would say, of their federal government. And yet down here up here in America, nobody seems to care. Yep. Hey, we're about to run out of time. I want to thank my buddy Brandon Waltens from Texas Scorecard. You work right outside of Austin at the Texas Scorecard office. An awesome facility, by the way. You guys do great work there. Love the podcast, love the website, love all the news, the videos you guys are doing. You were just in Beaumont. What were you doing in Beaumont?
Oh, Beaumont, speaking to a group of patriots down there at the True Texas Project, meeting over there. One of my favorite things to do. I mean, I do. We focus a lot on what happens in Austin and the Capitol, but I always say I love it when I get the chance to leave Austin and go to Texas for a little while. So it's always nice getting out.
To those of you who are watching us on social media, we're about to wrap it up here, but we'll do a little bonus right now on social media. We'll talk with you guys a little more if you're watching us. Don't go anywhere. To the rest of you that listen on the radio, subscribe to the podcast. The Walton & Johnson smartphone app is free. You can get it any Apple App Store, Google Play Store. You know what else is a cool idea? Join us November 10th. We're hosting a stand-up comedy show with a whole bunch of funny right-wing, red-pilled, based comedians. Jesse Payton's going to be there, Eric Knowles, yours truly, Billy Ed Hatfield, the Walton & Johnson crew. That's going to be a lot of fun. Tickets available at wheelchairsforwarriors.org. It's free. The show is free. It's our gift to you for making a tax-deductible donation of $25 or more to wheelchairsforwarriors.org. You can also get a link to that on the Walton and Johnson smartphone app. I love you all. Have an awesome afternoon. We'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning for more of what you bought a radio for.
You are listening to the Pursuit of Happiness Radio. Tell the government to kiss your ass when you listen to the show.
Clear. I'm here with my buddy Brandon, and some stuff we didn't have a chance to get to today. Did I have some videos? I think I may have taken them off the screen. No, we got some more stuff here.
Oh, cool.
All right, so let's talk about this. This is great. I don't know what to think of this, Brandon.
Yeah, okay, now, oh my God.
Let me show you guys what's on the screen here. Michelle Obama, I know there's a Temu ad at the bottom there, very distracting, but Michelle Obama has decided in a last-ditch effort to show some support for Kamala. They're bringing out the drag queens. Now, Brandon,
it's low hanging. It's low hanging. I can see. I know where you're going.
Who's it for? Is this for people that are already going to vote for her?
No.
And if so, what's the point?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask if Michelle Obama was the
Oh,
person
no,
in drag.
it's too easy.
That was too easy.
No,
Yeah.
I know. Look, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something that I know some of you following me on social media disagree with. I don't think Michelle Obama has a penis. I don't think she does. I don't think she's a man. I don't think she is. But there's a reason people speculate about this. Nobody has ever seen a photo of pregnant Michelle Obama. Why do you think that is?
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
There's no pictures of it anywhere. You think there'd be a picture?
You think there'd be at least one? It's usually a happy time. People want pictures taken.
Like a photo of Kamala in her McDonald's uniform.
Exactly, right? None. No first day of work, McDonald's hat, none of that.
You'd think one would exist, or there'd be a witness somewhere. Someone was saying they found a guy that claimed to have worked with her. And weirdly, that's not all over the news. You'd think the liberal media would love to parrot that information to you. But
yeah, that just tells you probably that's how weak that source is. Probably completely fell apart. They're like, okay, we can't use this guy. Did you ask a good question? Like, who is this for? Who's the person who is saying, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to vote or not. But, well, if she's doing a drag show, then, yeah, I could probably make it out to the polls.
Yeah,
I mean,
I got to think if you like drag queens, you're already voting for Kamala, right? Or you can't vote. That'd be my other guess.
Probably
like felons or something, sex offenders.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, kids. Well, hey, speaking of, I notice you guys are one of the only people that cover stories like this. If you're from Texas and you hear us babbling on and on all the time about how desperately we want school choice, you might wonder why. What is it? Why are conservatives so critical of public schools in Texas? Well, here's a story today. I notice you guys are reporting and nobody else is. Houston ISD assistant principal charged with sexually assaulting a student.
Ugh.
And so, yeah, pretty disgusting stuff here. I guess this happened a couple of years ago. The kid's out of school now, just scanning the article, but this happened a couple of years ago. Is it possible that the person didn't want to make the allegations till they were already out of school?
Possible, right? I mean, I haven't seen this specific case. We published it today, I guess, while I was on my way here. But more broadly, I mean, these things happen. We talk about them all the time. These stories. I mean, it's every week. It's seemingly every school district, it's every part of the state. And by the way, Houston ISD, very interesting because if you live in Houston ISD and you're voting, early voting obviously is ongoing this week and next week. They're asking for a massive bond as well. So they're asking for a lot of taxpayer money as well. It's like a record-setting, it's billions of dollars that we're talking about once you factor in interest. And so on one hand, you see stories like this, though, that make you think, is that money going to be used in a way that's beneficial? And they can't even take care of themselves right now.
Right. I was looking at that earlier. Prop A and Prop B for Houston voters. So this gets a little confusing because there's Prop 1 for Texas and Prop Roman numeral 9 for Harris County and but if you're talking about Houston or HISD, Prop A and Prop B, basically what they're asking is they want more money. They want to spend more money.
Yeah.
And the rate of spending on public schools vastly outpaces the rate of inflation. Yeah. And look how high that is. And every time we spend more and more money, I notice the quality of education doesn't go up, it goes down.
No, there's seemingly no correlation at all, right? And Houston ISD is not the only one. You've got other districts that are putting on these massive bonds, which are all taxpayer-backed debt. Sometimes they'll try to sell it like, oh, this is actually going to lower the tax rate. No, that's impossible. That doesn't make sense at all. It's all taxpayer-backed debt. And I think bonds are a bad idea just about any time, but especially right now with interest rates means that people are, taxpayers are actually having to pay essentially double by the time the term of these bonds is over, whether they're, 15, 20, 30-year bonds. So there's massive interest tacked onto these as well. And a lot of districts, unfortunately, are doing that.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. All right, let's talk for a second about a news story that kind of involves Texas, but it really involves California. One of my favorite Texas residents by a lot is Elon Musk. Look, it's the least libertarian thing about me. I like NASA. I think what is happening right now with the space industry is cool. I'd like to go to space someday. I think it's very neat. Yeah. I'm gay for space. I'm very gay for NASA. I think it's very interesting. And in California, the California Coastal Commission is trying to punish Elon Musk right now. I know you probably already know, but if you had to guess, what would you think they're punishing him for?
Oh, for being too awesome.
Yeah, that's basically
X,
right? they're mad about
being too based.
You're right. They're mad about his tweets. They're mad about his memes. Yeah. They're mad about Twitter. They don't like Twitter. They don't like the, what was it? Deep fake. Do you remember there was a deep fake of Kamala that was clearly fake?
Very obviously just a joke thing online. And didn't they like pass legislation, or at least thought about passing legislation specifically because of essentially a meme that went around on X?
That's 100% it. California tried to make it illegal to have memes because they were mad at Elon Musk for sharing a funny video of Kamala Harris. Some of the video footage in that video, by the way, real. Some of it fake. I know everybody's probably seen it at this point, so we won't play it for you. But anyway, the California Coastal Commission says we're going to punish Elon Musk. No more space launches, or they're going to drastically decrease the number of space launches allowed for SpaceX in the state of California. Hang on, I got a news story here. Now, weirdly enough, Gavin Newsom agrees with Elon Musk on this. He thinks it's bad. And here's why I got to assume the reason he's taking this position. If California vastly decreases the amount of rockets being launched, that doesn't hurt Elon Musk. It hurts California.
No, and frankly, it probably helps Texas, right? He's already got Starbase here
in Florida,
and Brownsville here in Texas, and in Florida as well. Doesn't really hurt Elon, right? He can send his rockets from anywhere. It's probably better off not sending them from California anyway. But it hurts California.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely hurts California. It's expensive, it's costly, it's timely, and it's inconvenient for Elon to move his operation. But in the long run, they're the ones that lose the jobs. Now, that's bad for California, but it does give me a great segue to this. My favorite news story today comes to us courtesy of tabloid news. Star, I think, is the name of this news outlet. Brandon, did you know that aliens walk among us?
Tell me more.
Thank you. Yes. No, I don't mean the illegal alien kinds. No, I don't mean the kind that murdered Jocelyn Nungri. I am talking about actual space aliens. There's this guy who claims an alien lives inside of him, and he did a TV interview the other day. First time ever we've ever seen anything like this. It's never happened before. He claims aliens live inside of us. Sort of, isn't that what Scientologists think, like Xenu?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's part of it.
Well, that's what this guy's saying. Let me play some of this for you here. Hang on. I hope this works. Oh, look, it crashed right at the end. Well, I guess that's okay. We're almost done anyway. Let's get a take two here. Can I get this to work? No. Can't get this to work. I can't. It would have been really, yeah, it would have been really funny. All right, I have audio. I have audio of this that I could play for you. Hang on a second. I'll play it on the screen here.
I'm about to have an interview with an extraterrestrial.
Oh, I appreciate the opportunity to allow him to share his message. Shall I let him come through?
Yes. Yes.
Right. Give me just a minute.
I'd like to say good day to you this day of your time. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you, Bishop?
Perfect, thank you. Please, by all means, you may proceed however you wish, but allow us to thank you for the co-creation of this opportunity to exchange ideas and information with you.
Isn't it great how he sounds like a Muppet? The minute he transforms into the alien. Brandon, I believe him.
I think it might be better without the video because I'm just imagining what he looks like when he's, let me go get him. You know? You want to talk to him? Or you just imagine him spinning around in his chair or something.
How much time do you think this guy spends just doing graphic art for his alien project?
Seemingly a lot.
And look at the two of these. Oh, yeah. Look at, she's really deep in thought trying to take this guy seriously. You kind of have to admire that, don't you?
That's great. Is there not like enough news? I mean, I understand a slow news day, but like, they couldn't. This is what they have.
Well, she's a real journalist. I bet I know who she's voting for. I mean, actually, she seemed to have a British accent. Is that the alien corpse that showed up at the Mexican Congress a while back?
Oh.
Do you remember
that? It looks kind of like it.
A little while back.
Whatever happened with that?
Well, I think we're looking at it right here. Is that what this is? Hold on a second. Serena DC is a filmmaker who previously undertook research into the bizarre alien mummies found in Peru. So there he is. Right? Do you think that's an alien? Prove it's not. That's what I say.
I don't have the evidence it's not.
Brandon, for those of you that have enjoyed listening and watching you on social media today, how will they go about finding your work and supporting what you do?
Yeah, of course. We're at TexasScorecard.com, and I'm on X at @BWaltens. Come check us out.
And I am Kenny Webster. Thank you so much for watching. If you don't mind, if free entertainment, maybe give us a share, maybe give us a click, give us a retweet, maybe give us a like, maybe tag your buddies. Or at the very least, just don't turn us over to FEMA when they come and force us all to live in a camp. They're going to concentrate us together into a camp if Trump loses. Whatever that would be called. I don't know. Whatever
Camp MAGA. I don't know.
Yeah, Camp MAGA. I want to thank Brandon Waltens, TexasScorecard.com. Have an awesome afternoon. Goodbye, everybody.